Today, I'm going to talk a little bit about being yourself, our true nature, and what that actually means. What is our true nature, and how can we be ourselves? It's often something that's said, isn't it? You know, if you're going into a situation that maybe you feel a bit nervous or apprehensive about, I will say, or people will say to you, well, just be yourself, be yourself and everything will be okay. But it's actually easier said than done when we have all these layers, these different personas that we have and ways of being that are learned from being very early on. Socialisation, primary socialisation, is something that happens before we go to school. So usually around about from 0 to 4 or 5, when we go into school and we're living with our families, we're socialised into certain ways of being, certain ways of behaving, certain rules that are in the family. And we often get labelled for different things. Mine was, as a child, I was always late. So that's taken me a very long time to kind of shake that one off. And I still sometimes feel the imprint of that in my life, about leaving things until the last minute and then rushing. So when my children were little and I spent some time going on school trips with them in primary school, I was really interested to observe how children were treated by the teachers, what kind of labelling was going on, and how children, quite small children, would have been integrating some of that into themselves. So this is something that happens at home with our parents or with the people who are looking after us, our primary caregivers, but it's also something that happens through school. And it can be really challenging to let go of that, or to remember who it is that we actually are. That we're not necessarily the person that we have become. So I was really aware of that growing up, that there was a lot of anxiety around for me. I had a lot of social anxiety, and I found it really difficult to be at school and to be with other people. I used to get exhausted with it, and it took me a long time to work out that a lot of the reason for this tiredness, this exhaustion, this feeling drained when I'd been out in social situations, when I was at work, was because a lot of the time I wasn't being who I am. I didn't feel able to be myself. I didn't actually know who I was. And so when I was 25, I left my job and went and worked abroad as a rep for a holiday company. And that was the first time in my life that I'd had a chance, an opportunity to be purely with people who knew nothing about me. They'd never met me before, and none of them knew any of my history, my background, my family, anything that had gone before that point in time. And that was a brilliant opportunity for me to experiment with actually what felt right for me, and what didn't feel okay. And there have been a couple of other occasions in my life when I've really consciously noticed that I had put myself in that situation with a group of people or with someone, and I was able to be completely myself. So the ways to observe this, I've discovered professionally and personally, are to notice how you're feeling with people. So it's really about observation. So it's noticing when you're with people, how you feel, how comfortable you feel, how stressed or agitated or anxious or irritable you feel. When you come back from meeting with or talking with certain people, we all know that you can feel completely exhausted, drained, like a wrung out dishcloth. With other people, you feel energized, you feel uplifted, you feel inspired. So one of the key things is to start to notice those little subtleties in relationships. To notice the people that you can feel comfortable with, to notice the people that you can be yourself with, that you feel you can be spontaneous with, that you don't notice yourself censoring what you're going to say before you say it. Now, clearly in certain situations we have to be more, not reserved, that's not the right word, but a little bit more discerning about what we say, the kind of language that we use. So we all do that all of the time. We will be different, slightly different in a formal situation than we would with our friends in the pub. Not that we're in the pub at all at the moment, but if we were able to be in the pub, that would be one situation. If we're with people that we feel comfortable with, we can relax with, that we would be able to just be ourselves, to be easy and to be ourselves. But my experience is that most people, there aren't a lot of people that they can be completely themselves with, unless they've really taken some time and consciously looked at those layers which build layer upon layer over the years as part of what I was referring to earlier, this primary socialisation. So where we've had an opportunity to challenge those things, those labels, those parts of ourselves which actually are not the parts that really bring us joy and make us feel happy, and where we feel at peace within ourselves. So those are some of the ways that you can do that. Observing when you're with people, observing when you're in situations, and observing how your body feels, because your body will always tell you when things are not right for you. So if you're starting to feel unwell, if you're starting to feel sick in the stomach, if you're starting to have backache in certain situations, all of these things are key messages that the body will send us when things are not right for us. And an awful lot of people end up on completely the wrong track with relationships and with the path that they've taken with their work. And that's one of the things that I find incredibly sad in life, to see people who have been in a job or in a relationship and invested years, decades sometimes, in that work, in that relationship, and it really wasn't their true path. It didn't bring them happiness. It didn't allow them to feel easy within themselves. It wasn't something that unfolded naturally. And it was something that was constantly a struggle, a battle, that caused them stress and that caused them ultimately illness and maybe disease too. So finding out what it is that not only is your true self, your authentic self, your true nature, but also that will enable you to find your path in life, your true path in life, what it is that you're supposed to be doing. And again, if you think back to the kind of things that happen at school or in your family, people will often set you on a path, give you ideas about things that you may want to do career-wise or work-wise, subjects that you may want to be studying at school. And those are often the things that we're good at, that people say, oh, you're really good at that, why don't you study that for A-level? Why don't you do a degree in that? You did got a really good grade at A-level. But that's not really the right way of going about it. We need to explore by doing this inner work, by looking at what makes us feel comfortable, which makes us feel easy, which gives us joy, makes us feel happy, which makes us feel at peace within ourselves, and then follow that. Some people are good at all sorts of things. That doesn't mean to say that doing that for a career is going to make you, for 40 years, is going to make you happy. It really is important to find something that you can earn a living from, but also is something that will bring you joy, inspiration, satisfaction, and enable you to sleep peacefully at night. As well as the things that I've already mentioned, I often say about the importance of just taking some time each day to be quiet and to be still. And I would really recommend that as part of this process. And 2 questions which are very important questions to be asking yourself if you are endeavouring to explore and remember who you are, but also to find your true nature, are to ask the questions, who am I and what do I want? Who am I and what do I want? And to listen deep within yourself to the answers to those questions. Sometimes there isn't any answer at all, but it's really important, I feel, to keep asking those questions and using those questions as the foundation for this journey of inner exploration and rediscovering, remembering who you are. Another thing that you can do if your childhood, sort of up to the age of 5, 6, 7, was happy. This doesn't always work for people who experienced a lot of trauma in childhood, or didn't have a happy childhood, or don't have happy memories, good memories of their childhood where it wasn't particularly stable or secure. But it's to remember and to ask people who are still alive now what you were like as a child, and to look at some photographs and remember through looking at the photographs to really go inside the energy of that photo and to look at that child of 5 or 6 or 7 and to see what sparked their imagination, their playfulness, their joy, their inspiration, their ability to be in the moment and to be completely at ease and comfortable with who they are, with who they were at that point. And there's a famous quote by George Eliot that says it's never too late to be the person you might have been. And that's one of the things that I hold very dear. And I think with any kind of self-development, it's really important to remember that it's as long as you're alive and breathing, it's never too late to do something different, to change, to let go of something that you wish to let go of about yourself, about your life, to let go of something from the past, and to move forward in a different way. So every single day is a new opportunity, gives a new opportunity to do that. And remember that it's only the thinking, the thought process, the thought patterning that needs to change in order to change everything. And that can happen absolutely in an instant. So I'm going to leave you with that thought today. Thank you for joining me. You can find me also on Facebook at Self Development Leicester, where I post most days, and have a beautiful day, the rest of the day, whatever you're doing, whatever point in the day that you're watching this, and I wish you good health.